We are glad you are here. We are joined, as always, by Greg Engert, beer director for the Neighborhood Restaurant Group, a food and wine sommelier of the year. The group includes Where We Are, the Blue Jacket Brewery. This is the bottle shop at Blue Jacket. Definitely worth a stop in if you haven't been before. Check it out when you come to the brewery, and also the Arsenal Restaurant is next door. In Penn Quarter, you've got the Partisan and Red Apron. Craig, it is always good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
This weekend. What is on tap this week? Oh, well, wouldn't you know it?
Imagine that. We have St. Bernardus Christmas Ale, which is always one of my favorite kind of classic Belgian-style holiday brews. You know, it does what you kind of expect from a strong dark ale with a bit of spicing, but I think it does it exquisitely well every single year. It's great. Got a little bit of a ruby,
yes.
Darkish hue, not brown. Classic Belgian kind of fruity esters from fermentation in the nose.
Just popped into my mind the idea for a refrigerated stocking. So you're ready to go first thing.
There they are.
In the Christmas morning.
And what's great about this beer is, I mean, when you're smelling it, there's dark red fruits, but also some great apricot fruit. So it's got a brightness to it that's really nice. On the palate, lots of toasted caramel, molasses, marzipan, kind of dessert-like flavors, but it finishes dry, not too sweet. The alcohol is well hidden at 10%. And then it's spiced, but I don't think you would know that if I didn't tell you. It doesn't taste like it's been hit with cinnamon or clove or coriander or anything like that.
It's delicious, and you think, that's something good, and no surprise, it's from St. Bernardus. This brewery has been around
since this is their 70th year in operation, and a great story, and I'm glad you asked about that, because the brewery itself began in 1946, but at the time it was a cheesemaker. So there's a Trappist abbey called Mont de Cats in France, still there, in northern France, that opened a Belgian refuge in 1904 and started making cheese there. After and then the monastery itself was damaged during the First World War, but then afterwards they repaired it and they abandoned the refuge. And at that time, they sold the cheese-making operation to a guy named Everest de Koninck, who started making cheese. That's 1934. Later, the monks of Westfaletteren, who we discussed before, they're the monastery brewery in Belgium that you just can't get their beers. You have to go to the monastery to get them. They contacted this St. Bernardus, was the name of the cheesemaker making house, to make their beer for them so that they didn't have to expand on site. So starting in 1946, and for the next 46 years till 1992, the St. Bernardus cheesemakers started making the Westfaletteren beers under contract. They stopped making cheese in '59, and then actually in '92, Westfaletteren took the beers back, and so this brewery had to go on making really Westfaletteren beers, but under a new moniker, which is St. Bernardus.
Well, it may sound strange that you'd have a cheese factory and then a beer production facility, but the two are very similar, and they require a high amount of attention to detail.
Absolutely.
Sanitation,
craftsmanship.
Things like
that. Exactly. And really cool thing too now is that they continue to make the beers. So technically, St. Bernardus 8 and App 12, which is the one you see a lot of, are the original Westfaletteren recipes, and they still use the Westfaletteren yeast that they inherited way back in 1946. Today, Westfaletteren actually doesn't even use their own yeast. They use the yeast from Westmalle, which is another monastic brewery.
There will be a quiz on that later, too.
Genealogy.
And it's not boozy tasting, but it's not. It's no slouch either at 10%.
No.
Well, I can just see fires crackling and candles burning and things like that. What would you pair this with?
It's like you said, it's not light. It's a strong, rich beer. So the yeast does give it a more pronounced kind of fruit characteristic. So I like to do this with richer meats. Obviously, something like duck and lamb, juicy rare meat. I think takes really well to the kind of dark fruit quality that this has. But on a simpler side, I've found that St. Bernardus beers like the App 12 and the Christmas Ale with that rich malt character are fantastic with things that love soy sauce. So I actually just had some bottles of this with some Chinese takeout the other day, dumplings and pork fried rice. It was fantastic.
I can see that with the light sweetness from the fruit too.
Absolutely.
All right, Greg, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Everyone, please always do drink responsibly. Merry Christmas, and be sure to bring your thirst next time for another Beer of the Week.